What's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today is just going to be a quick Q&A, some about the airline industry and me being a pilot and also my personal life. Tomorrow is going to be a real fun couples eating challenge video where we're going to do things like how fast we can eat a Happy Meal, or like eating an ice cream cone, or the saltine cracker challenge. So if you guys are excited for that, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button for me. And if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. All right, so we're gonna start off with obviously the big elephant in the room. How does COVID-19 affect your airline company? And also, follow-up question, what are your thoughts on the virus? And also, how soon will airlines be back to normal? So, there's tons of great videos out there talking about how the airline industries are being affected. I'm not gonna go into drastic details about it, but as you know, for here in the United States, and I can only speak on behalf of airlines in the United States because that's all I've really been paying attention to, because that's what affects me the most. All the majors here in the United States have drawn from the stimulus package that was released. Essentially, we've taken a loan from the government to just have more cash on hand, but part of that says that in agreement with taking some of that cash from the government, they cannot lay off any employees until September 30th at the earliest. So there won't be any furloughs going on right now, meaning no one will get let go, but flights have been cut drastically, like 70% for the month of April, and more than 80% in the month of May is forecasted. It's a sad sight to see. I just got back from a trip last week. I'm currently on vacation, which I would normally be traveling right now, but I'm quarantining. I'm kind of, abiding by the, from the higher ups. They've all said, social distancing and you need to stay home. So that's what we're doing. We're making the best out of it. But it's sad. On my last trip, I had no more than 5 passengers on every single flight. More than half my flights were canceled. Airplanes are parked everywhere. I know up in Pittsburgh, they've got basically a whole runway full of airplanes. Delta sent a lot of airplanes out west to be parked in the desert. It's just a sad time right now, not just for the airline industry, obviously. So everyone's lives are being affected somehow because of this nasty virus going on. So I'm hoping by the end of summer things will get better. The airline industry will start picking up because it is a critical infrastructure to the global economy. The airline industry contributes over $3.7 trillion to the global GDP and over 65.5 million jobs worldwide. 65.5 million jobs come from the airline industry alone. So as soon as this thing gets hopefully wiped off the face of the earth, literally, things will come back to normal. Next question, how to balance your work and life. Great thing about being an airline pilot is once you set that parking brake, you're basically done. Your work is done. Every now and then, once a quarter, you've got to do some online training, computer-based training, real easy, just a refresh on systems. And then once a year, at least at my airline, it's pretty much all across the board. All the airlines, you've got to go and do recurrent training, a little bit of ground school, and a little bit of simulator training. So other than that, you don't have to come home, worry about, making some sales, calling clients, none of that. You set that parking brake, your job is done. So work-life balance is great because, like I said, I come home, I really don't have to worry about work. So that's a great thing. Okay, next question. How have you been keeping yourself busy? Great question. We've been doing as much as we possibly can from, working out. I built a full gym. If you watched my last video, I believe it was my last video, a full home gym. So we've been working out every single day. Just try and catch some sunshine, just try and mentally stay healthy, doing everything we can. Obviously binge watching Netflix. So just, talking to family, friends, Skype, FaceTime, Zoom, everything you can to just keep yourself busy. We've been crushing a whole bunch of Uno, board games, just doing what you can. Next question, what are some steps a high school student who wants to pursue aviation can take? This is a great question. You've got to figure out where you want to be in aviation. You didn't specify the airline industry. So if you want to be a corporate pilot, if you want to be a cargo pilot, if you want to be an airline pilot, you start from there and work backwards. Do I need a degree? Do I need all of the ratings, including commercial and ATP? Figure out what you want and work backwards from there. Do your research. I've released tons of Flying with Garrett episodes about this. So figure out where you want to end up and then work backwards and see what the requirements are, and then pursue that. Next question. Ever flown the River Visual Runway 19 into DC? Yes, numerous times now. Unfortunately, the first time I did it was as a captain, so it was a little challenging, I would say. Especially as an FO, you kind of get to see out the right side of the airplane all those landmarks. So it's definitely a challenging approach, but as you know, just don't dip your wing on the east side of the river. But it's so much fun now. It's an adrenaline approach. It's what being a pilot's all about, these challenges, and it's a blast. Next question, which was the hardest rating phase? I would say my hardest rating was probably the instrument rating. I struggled with holdings for the longest time, just trying to figure out different entries, and I mean, I probably repeated like 5 lessons just on holds, but I eventually got it, and now to this day, it's my favorite thing to do is instrument flying, just hard IMC, which we do a lot of it in the airline industry, but we do hold, I probably hold 4 to 5 times a month at most, but everything's automated now. We just type into the box, we verify, all right, we got a hold over Chesley as published, so it left turns, the inbound, you just plug in the box and the autopilot goes and does it all for you. Of course, you're managing all this, but figuring out which hold entry is basically all automated. But to answer your question, instrument was probably the hardest phase. Next question, what do you think about going to a flight academy instead of college from high school? I think this is kind of like a follow-up from the previous question. You got to figure out where you want to be. Do you want to be corporate, airline, cargo? Do you want to be pipeline patrol? There's so many different things. So just figure out where it is. I would say the biggest thing is being in the airline industry. That was the highest standard, I would say, meaning like you needed a 4-year degree. And now so many of the major airlines here in the United States have reduced that down to maybe just a 2-year degree. So figure out where you want to be and work backwards from there, and then figure out, maybe financially college isn't the best bet. There's definitely pros and cons of every situation. Next question. When you are on trips, do you have difficulty finding a gym/place to work out? I would say probably not. Planet Fitness isn't my favorite gym in the world, but I am a member as well as a few other gyms, just because our Planet Fitness is literally everywhere. But bigger cities that we stay in tend to have LA Fitnesses or YMCA, so most gyms, like most hotel shuttles, will take you to a gym. If not, I'll just Uber to one. But for the most part, no. And I really try and plan. I always look at my trips ahead of time, and if I know one of the overnights doesn't have a gym, maybe I'll kind of tailor my workout schedule going into where that overnight will be my rest day. Next question. Do you recommend going to a regional, then major, or flying local for 5,000 plus hours, then going? That's tough. If you're wanting to go to a major, I would almost certainly say go to a regional unless you have military background. The majors now these days really draw from kind of their regionals that they have ties from. Like American has wholly owns, Envoy, PSA, and Piedmont, I almost forgot. And then, like Delta has Endeavor, United, SkyWest. I might be lying about the SkyWest, I don't know. But each major airline kind of has affiliations with their own regionals. So they really try and draw from those. And then it's military guys and girls, big time. So it's tough just flying local for 5,000 hours. You really gotta, and even trying to get to those majors from the regionals, you gotta stand out. You gotta do things like recruitment, interviewing, work with HR, do external things to build your resume and make you stand out. All right, next question. How long of an effect will this have on the industry? Is it still a good idea to be an airline pilot even with all the stuff going on right now? Good question. How long will it last? Nobody knows. Literally nobody knows the answers. As long as people continue to do their best to flatten the curve, social distance, stay inside as much as possible. All these massive corporate companies are starting to produce ventilators, like massive car companies, Ford, GM. There's so many companies that are stepping up. It's really it's amazing to see kind of the world come together and work together. Of course, yes, a lot of these companies are profiting off of this, but it's better than not having things like ventilators at all. So, you know, how long will this last? I really hope by the end of summer, you will see things like people start to be able to come out and you know, travel again, but we'll see. You know, flights are cut significantly in April and May. So yeah, I hope it doesn't last, you know, too much longer. And the second question is still a good idea to be an airline pilot, even with all this stuff going around. The pilot shortage was and still will be a very, very big thing. A lot of pilots, a lot of these major airlines are offering early outs, meaning you can retire early. I know American offered 62 to 65. You can retire early, 65 being the mandatory retirement. They will pay you X amount of hours a month until you turn 65, but you can no longer fly. So it just depends. You know, I believe over 600 pilots at American alone took that early out. So I'm sure that other airlines will be offering the same. And the pilot shortage, once things begin back up, flights start picking back up, the pilot shortage will continue to come back because we weren't even at the peak pilot shortage yet. So nobody's getting younger with all this just because airplanes aren't flying. 65 is still the mandatory retirement age. Hello, Garrett. Thank you for your content. Is 31 too old to become a pilot? I'm 27 at the moment. 31 is absolutely not too old to be a pilot at all. Like I said before, 65 is the mandatory retirement age. So you've got 34 years of a career left. So I'd say definitely not at all. Next question, have you ever failed a check ride? Yes, I failed my CFI check ride. I believe at the time the pass-fail rate was like 53 or 57%, which is no excuse. I studied my butt off. I got tripped up on magnetic compass deviations. Still don't know what that is. Yeah, I studied and went and retook the check ride, passed just fine, but yeah, that's what I failed on. Next question, how long were you a first officer before you upgraded to captain? All right, so this is the last question. So one of the reasons why I picked the regional that I did at the time, they were growing tremendously. Like now, I've only been there just over 3 years and I'm in the top third of the seniority at the company, which is unbelievable. Great, tremendous growth. I was a first officer for just over a year. Minimum mandatory requirements to be a captain is 1,000 hours of 121 time, meaning airline time. So once I hit that 1,000 hours of SIC time, second in command, I upgraded to captain. So just anywhere from a year to a year and 4 months, I believe I was flying in the right seat. So, all right, those are all the questions. I hope you guys enjoyed that quick Q&A. Sorry if I didn't get to any of your questions. I'll try and go through the comments. So if I didn't get to your question, throw them in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Smash that thumbs up button if you did enjoy it. If I did get to your question, subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you tomorrow with some fun challenge video. See ya.